The air in Seoul was thick with anticipation. It was June 2025 and EJ Mong had just become president. He entered office at a time of deep uncertainty. South Korea faced daunting challenges. At home and abroad, Mong knew every move would be scrutinized. He carried the hopes of a nation, but also the burden of global rivalries. His inauguration was subdued, reflecting a country still healing from recent turmoil. People longed for stability and strong leadership. Mong promised to deliver, but the world was a dangerous place. The US and China, both vital to South Korea, were locked in growing tension. The US was a crucial ally, China an indispensable trading partner. Both pulled South Korea in opposite directions. Mong had to chart a path that protected his country without angering either giant. He began his term walking a precarious tightrope. Below him, deep divisions at home. Around him, swirling international rivalry. One misstep could send South Korea tumbling. Could he maintain his balance? The stakes were high, not just for South Korea, but for the entire region. Mong's leadership would define an era. The world watched, waiting to see if he could guide his nation through the storm. Every decision mattered. The pressure was relentless. Mong's challenge was clear: survive the tightrope, or risk a fall with global consequences. The future of South Korea and perhaps the region rested on his ability to lead. The tightrope was thin, the winds fierce. Mong's journey had only just begun. The world held its breath. The 2025 presidential election came early, triggered by chaos. Former President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, claiming to restore order. Many saw it as a desperate power grab. Seoul erupted in protest. Millions demanded Yoon Suk-yeol's resignation. The economy stalled, schools and businesses closed. South Korea teetered on the brink. Amid the turmoil, EJ Mong emerged as a calm, respected voice. He condemned Yoon Suk-yeol's actions and called for a return to democracy. Mong organized peaceful resistance, inspiring hope. The pressure on Yoon Suk-yeol mounted, his party deserted him, the military hesitated. Finally, Yoon Suk-yeol resigned and martial law was lifted. An early election was called. Mong, the defender of democracy, became the frontrunner. He had stood firm against authoritarianism. The people saw him as a savior, someone who could heal the nation. His journey to the Blue House was forged in crisis. Mong's leadership during the darkest days earned him the nation's trust. He promised to restore democracy and stability. The world watched as South Korea chose a new path. Mong's rise was a testament to resilience and the power of collective action. The nation rallied behind him, hoping for a fresh start. The scars of the past remained, but a new chapter had begun. Mong's victory was more than political. It was a symbol of hope. The challenge now: to turn hope into lasting change. The stakes had never been higher. Mong's leadership would be tested from day one. The world's eyes were on Seoul. Could Mong deliver on his promises? The future of South Korea depended on it. The path to power was tumultuous, but Mong had prevailed. Now, the real work would begin. The nation waited for his next move. The clock was ticking. EJ Mong's story resonated with ordinary South Koreans. Born in a rural town to farming parents, he learned hard work and justice early. Mong excelled in school, earning a law scholarship. He became a human rights lawyer, defending the voiceless and fighting corruption. His work was risky, but he never wavered. Mong's legal background gave him sharp intellect and a deep respect for the rule of law. Politics was a natural next step. He joined a progressive party, slowly rising through the ranks. Mong served in the National Assembly and held key ministerial roles. He was known for integrity and a thoughtful approach. His path was not easy. He faced fierce opposition and even survived an assassination attempt. These trials only strengthened his resolve. Mong's motto, "Truth will prevail." This belief guided him through adversity. He championed transparency and accountability. Supporters admired his resilience and principled leadership. Mong's steadfastness became his greatest asset. In a time of crisis, people wanted a leader who wouldn't bend. His humble beginnings and unwavering values set him apart. Mong's journey inspired hope for a better future. He was seen as a leader who understood the struggles of ordinary people. His reputation for honesty was rare in politics. Mong's resilience was tested, but he endured. He became a symbol of hope and integrity. South Korea needed a leader like him. The nation believed he could deliver real change. Mong's story was one of perseverance. His rise was proof that character matters. The country looked to him for guidance. The challenges ahead were immense, but Mong's resilience would be his guide. The nation's hopes rested on his shoulders. President Meng inherited a nation divided by politics and society. Conservatives and progressives clashed bitterly. Compromise seemed impossible. Trust in institutions was shattered. Social divisions ran deep. Generational gaps, wealth inequality, and resentment simmered. The economy, once booming, now struggled with slow growth and youth unemployment. Housing costs soared, families struggled, and economic anxiety grew. Meng needed to find new engines for growth and opportunity. The most urgent crisis: South Korea's plummeting birth rate and rapidly aging population. This demographic time bomb threatened the nation's future. Meng faced tough, unpopular choices. Bridging divides and restoring trust would be his greatest domestic challenge. The stakes were enormous. The nation's future depended on unity and bold solutions. Meng had to act quickly. The clock was ticking. Meng's challenges extended far beyond South Korea's borders. The U.S. alliance remained vital, but required careful management. Trade disputes and defense cost-sharing strained relations. North Korea's nuclear threat loomed, demanding both firmness and dialogue. The dream of peaceful reunification seemed distant, but stability was essential. China, South Korea's largest trading partner, grew more assertive. Beijing's economic leverage and political pressure complicated diplomacy. Meng sought stable relations with both superpowers, but the balance was delicate. Any misstep could have serious consequences. Navigating these global storms required skill and vision. Meng's foreign policy would define his presidency. The world watched his every move. South Korea's security and prosperity hung in the balance. Meng's ability to manage these rivalries was crucial. The stakes had never been higher. President Meng spoke often of balance. He insisted South Korea should not be forced to choose between the US and China. He envisioned the nation as a bridge, connecting rival powers, but the US-China rivalry intensified, making neutrality harder. Washington pressed Seoul to join anti-China initiatives. Beijing warned against siding with the US, threatening economic retaliation. Meng faced relentless pressure from both sides. The space for maneuver shrank daily. South Korea's security depended on the US, its economy, on China. Every decision risked backlash. Meng's balancing act became a daily struggle. The risks of a misstep were enormous. The world watched as he walked the tightrope. Could he protect South Korea's interests without alienating either giant? The answer would shape the nation's future. EJ Mong came to power with bold promises. He pledged unity, reform, and a fairer society. Supporters saw him as a beacon of hope after years of turmoil. Meng aimed to curb the power of chaebols, strengthen social safety nets, and invest in education and technology. In foreign policy, he sought an independent voice for South Korea. Dialogue and diplomacy were his tools. His vision was ambitious, but the challenges were immense. Entrenched interests resisted reform. Global events threatened to derail his plans. Meng's calm, principled style inspired confidence. The nation craved change and stability. Could he unite the country and revitalize the economy? Could he withstand pressure from the US and China? The risks of failure were real. Meng's leadership would be tested at every turn. The future of South Korea hung in the balance. His audacity was clear, his success uncertain. The world watched, hoping for a new era. Meng's journey was just beginning. The stakes had never been higher.